Mind if I pick your brain?
Not if it will get you out of my office.
Also der wird uns doch mit Sicherheit was sagen können über dieses Wewe und vielleicht auch über die Schlangenschuppen und...
What can you tell me about voodoo?
You already sat through my lecture on the subject, Mr. Knight. Perhaps next time you could stay awake and learn something.
Ja, da hat er recht.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I've read about them in the papers. I must admit to some interest. But according to the newspapers, the voodoo aspect is faked, so I haven't really pursued it. You know how Americans, especially Hollywood, treats voodoo. I'm sure there are many so-called practitioners out there that have no idea what they're doing or the power they're playing with.
Ja, vielleicht. New Orleans.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I find it interesting to see the occasional fragment of voodoo practices in the everyday culture of New Orleans.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm not a zoologist, Mr. Knight, but I know all I care to about reptiles.
Schade.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It's June 23rd, the feast day of St. John the Baptist. But June 23rd has been a sacred day since the earliest times. Ancient sun worshippers used to roll a flaming wheel down a hill to celebrate the sun's descent on that day.
A burning wheel? Huh.
So wie das Wewe, ja, das sieht ja auch so ein bisschen aus wie so ein Rad.
Do you have any idea what Gabriel means?
Cabri sans corps. Yes, I do. It's a Haitian term, I believe. It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
As in a female goat?
No, as in a human sacrifice. Sacrifices in voodoo are usually of the animal variety. Chickens, bulls, goats. If the gods demand a goat without horns, it means a human being.
Ach so, ist das gemeint, okay. Ja gut, Marie Laveau.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
While I find the colloquial bastardizations of voodoo somewhat interesting from a sheerly intellectual point of view, there's not a lot of relation between people like Laveau and true voodoo practices.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
As I said in my lecture, which I assume you actually listened to, is that animal masks, totems, are used extensively in most African voodoo religions.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
I'm not in the habit of repeating myself, Mr. Knight.
Ja, aber du hast doch nichts von Interesse gesagt, also na gut.
Tell me about bebés.
If you'd taken notes during my lecture, you wouldn't have to ask.
Ja gut, dass er da ein bisschen sauer ist, das kann ich schon verstehen.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
I'm afraid I can't help you there, Mr. Knight.
Und über dich selber?
Tell me about yourself.
All right, Mr. Knight, I'm 35, a fully tenured professor at this university, as well as a fellow at Cambridge. My doctorate was obtained at Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse, in religious studies. I'm an agnostic, but I find human belief systems fascinating. I specialize in African religions because I grew up there. My father was a Protestant missionary. And I am heterosexual, when I practice sex at all, which isn't very often. Any other questions?
No.
Fine.
Das war sehr detailliert.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
It's very rare. Most voodoo practices do not include human sacrifice as a matter of record, but it is theoretically possible if that's what the gods demand. For example, one of the chants I had translated for me from a Haitian ritual went like this. Mistress Azuli, come and aid us. If a cock is demanded, we will give it. If a bull will suffice, behold it. But if a goat without horns is required for sacrifice, oh, where will we find one? Azuli is the gentlest of Loa, so they call on her for mercy. But I have seen grown and powerful Hungan tremble before a possession by one of the more violent Loa, such as Papa Nebo. Clearly, they are afraid that something of the sort will be ordered, or that the Loa will simply take it for themselves.
Warte mal, kann ich dir nicht das WW mal zeigen?
Can you tell me anything about this pattern?
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Mind if I copy this?
Be my guest.
Great. I'll be right back.
Das scheint ja schon Interesse zu sein.
Here you go. You know, this is a fascinating Veve. You must tell me all about its origin.
Actually, I was hoping you'd tell me. Can you figure out anything about it from the symbols?
Well, some. That's why I wanted a copy. I want to research the design myself. Each of the symbols in the Veve represents something, a Loa, a place. Where did you get this?
Have you heard of the Voodoo murders?
No, you're kidding. Really? Then the voodoo is authentic. The newspapers are wrong. Boy, are they wrong.
You think this Veve is authentic, then?
Authentic? Mr. Knight, that's like asking if the Mona Lisa is a painting. Tell you what, I'll look into these symbols myself and see what I can learn about the sect that made this. I'll give you a call when I have more information. You are associated with the police, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I'm, undercover. You can contact me at the St. George's bookshop in the quarter.
All right. Now, I'd like to get started on this if you don't mind.
Das lief ja schon mal ganz gut. Warte mal, was haben wir noch? Kann er hiermit was anfangen?
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I've never seen those symbols. Therefore, they're probably meaningless.
Really? Are you sure?
I am never wrong, Mr. Knight. Therefore, sure is not in my vocabulary.
Ja, auf jeden Fall haben wir jetzt die Sicherheit, dass die Voodoo-Morde eben nicht gefaked sind, sondern dass das echte Morde sind. Das dürfte nicht interessant sein. Wie wär's denn hiermit?
Is there anything you can tell me about the voodoo aspects of this photograph?
This is serious voodoo ritual. Nasty stuff.
In what way?
Let's see. I can't make out much detail from this photograph. Except for the corpse, of course. But the wound, the face, and what little I can see of the ritual paraphernalia. Reminds me of certain black voodoo practices. Very rare. I've never witnessed them myself, you understand.
Really? Interesting. Thanks.
So, haben sich denn neue Dialoge
Up
aufgemacht?
for a few more questions?
Gee, I'd love to.
Schwarzes Voodoo.
Tell me what you mean by black voodoo.
Well, like any religion, the beliefs can tend toward positive or negative ends. Can be used for good or evil. Christianity, for example, has its doppelganger, Satanism. Anytime you attempt to set up an icon to explain evil, you invite some warped mind to worship it. The same is true of voodoo. There are those who are drawn by and desire personal power from the darker, bloodier Loa.
Jetzt frage ich mich aber wirklich, ob dieser Papa Nebo was mit der Gede zu tun hat. Ich meine, es könnte ja weit hergeholt sein, aber es fehlt ja nur ein D in dem Namen. Also Gede und Gede. Na, mal schauen. Ich denke, mit ihm sind wir jetzt fertig. Ja. Gut, dann würde ich sagen, raus.
I'll see you later.
Oh, do keep in touch.
Dann bin ich ja mal gespannt, wenn er anruft, was er über das WW zu sagen hat. Ja, ich würde mal sagen, wir bestatten jetzt mal Mosley den Besuch ab, weil der wollte uns ja auch noch sehen. Mal schauen, was er zu sagen hat. Mostly.
You son of... Give me back my badge. Now, Knight!
Sure. Thanks for letting me borrow it.
Yeah? Well, you borrowed again in your history. Now, about today. Glad you made it. It'll give you a feel for how I am in action. You know, handling suspects, that sort of thing.
I'm sure it'll be invigorating. Who is this guy anyway?
Calls himself Crash. He's been an informant for us before, mostly helping us bust small-time pimps and dealers trying to break into the territory. Well, he's been staying invisible during these murders, but we picked him up this morning at Jackson Square. Pushing coke? He knows something. Call it detective's instinct.
Detective's instinct. Got it.
All right, Crash. I want to hear about these murders. You been present at the so-called voodoo ritual?
I don't know nothing. I told you.
Come on now, you can tell me. Do you know anyone who's been to these rituals?
Look, I can't say nothing. You gotta let me go, man.
Now, you relax. No one knows you're here. The men who picked you up were plainclothesmen.
Plain clothes, like you could fool them. They know I'm here. They've got ears all over the city. They know everything.
Now, who are they, Crash? Are they the ones doing the murders?
Let me go.
If you're so worried about being detained, start talking. Now, you tell me what I want to hear, and maybe I can get you in the witness protection program. But you have to earn it.
Witness protection? Are you crazy? Don't make me laugh. Jesus, just let me out of here.
Now, come on. Who's behind these murders, Crash? Why are the victims all members of the underworld?
By now they know I'm here. It's different when I'm supposed to come here. Well, if I can send a message. Tell him I didn't say nothing.
Christ, he's frickin' useless. Take him back to detaining, would you, Tony? I tell you, times like this, I'd kill for truth serum and damn the civil rights.
Can I quote you on that?
Huh? Hell no. Damn! We can only keep him for 24 hours. Tomorrow morning, I might have to let him go. Sorry it wasn't more exciting. For the book I made. Maybe you can punch it up some. You know, what do they call that? Fiction, that's it.
It certainly is. I'll see what I can do.
Also der war ja auf jeden Fall extrem ängstlich. Jetzt weiß man natürlich nicht, ob es irgendwie an seinem Drogenkonsum liegt oder ob er halt wirklich mit diesen Voodoo-Leuten da zu tun hat.
Can I ask you about some stuff?
You're the writer. Ask away.
Stand
What's
ja
the status on the Voodoo murders case?
It sure as hell ain't going well. There's a lot of brakes being applied in different areas of the investigation. We're getting some real info on the victims now, and they're not exactly upstanding citizens. I was hoping to get more out of Crash, but he's scared shitless. We'll have to let him go tomorrow morning.
What's the status on the Voodoo murders case?
I told you, it's going for shit.
Ich glaube nicht, dass das sehr viel Sinn macht, mit ihm über WW oder schwarzes Voodoo zu reden, aber könnt's ja mal versuchen.
Do you know anything about Black Voodoo?
Black Voodoo? Sounds like a put-on to me.
Nee, das hat keinen Sinn bei dem. Ja, gehen wir.
I'll let you get back to it.
Have a good one.
Ich würde jetzt mal gern zu der Gedde. Einfach nur wegen dieser Sache eben mit dem Vortrag. Mal schauen. Irgendwas muss doch da dran sein, oder?
Oh, it's you. Miss Geddy is not at home, sir. Can you tell me where she is? It's very important. She's visiting her mother's grave, Mr. Knight. Something even you can't be tasteless enough to want to interrupt.
Ja, ich fürchte schon. Also. Ja gut, sie ist am Grab ihrer Mutter. Wir wissen ja, wo das ist. Das ist ja am Friedhof, da waren wir ja schon. Ja, dann versuchen wir es da mal. Friedhof. So, das war dann hier rechts. Nochmal rechts. Na?
Malia.
Mr. Knight, what are you doing here?
My family's tomb is here.
Mine too.
I noticed. Subtle.
Well, Mr. Knight, if there's nothing else.
Don't go. I need to talk to you.
Whatever for.
I can't stop thinking about you. I've been in your thoughts too. I can see it in your eyes.
Mr. Knight, you don't know anything about me. I'm not in a position to get involved.
I've said that a million times myself, but this is different. I think we both know we can't fight it. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this.
I have so many obligations. My family is very traditional. You wouldn't understand.
Hey, I love tradition. I've seen Fiddler on the Roof 100 times.
This isn't a musical, Mr. Knight. We live in different worlds.
Look, I know you've got more money than God. Do you think I care? Do you think that's why I'm saying this?
No, I don't.
Why don't you come see my world? I have a little bookshop, St. George's on Bourbon.
I know.
See? I knew it. You're crazy about me, too. Come by tonight. Please. My world isn't so bad.
I'm sorry, but there's no place for someone like you in my life. Not now, not ever.
Damn it!
Okay. Ja. Können wir jetzt vielleicht in die Gruft, aber nee.
There's a small marble plate near the tomb doors.
Ja, drücken.
The plate is locked in position. There's a keyhole on the plate.
Okay, nee. Ja, dann, würde ich mal sagen, fahren wir mal zur Madame Casanou. Da haben wir ja bestimmt auch noch einiges zu tun. Schön hier.
Hall windows flank the front of the mansion. Like many New Orleans buildings, this one is accented with ornamental wrought iron. The front door is solid hardwood and at least a century old.
Ja, dann klopfen wir mal.
Yes. Who is it?
Zeitungsabo, Artikel über Voodoo, falsches Haus. Ah, dann eher Voodoo.
Hi, I'm doing an article on voodoo, and I heard that you...
I am a good Catholic, young man. Take your evil influence elsewhere.
But I just have a few questions.
I can feel the evil eye. Go away.
Ist aber wenig kooperativ. Na, dann vielleicht mal Zeitungsabo.
Yes. Who is it?
Zeitungsabo.
I have some fine magazine subscriptions for sale.
I'm sorry, but I'm not interested.
Haustierbedarf?
Hi,
Voodoo?
I'm doing an article on voodoo, and I heard that you...
I told you no. This house is under the protection of the saints. Now, go away.
Also, sobald ich Voodoo anspreche, macht sie die Tür zu.
I've got some great pet supplies. Could you cool little doggy?
Castro has everything he needs. Don't you, Castro?
Thanks a lot, Castro.
Mitai.
Land shark.
You are no Bill Murray.
Muss mit Ihnen sprechen.
Please let me talk to you, Madame Cazanou.
I don't talk to strangers, young man.
Die ist ein bisschen sehr unkooperativ, die Gute.
Yes? Who is it?
Das bringt nichts. Da macht sie die Tür... Ja, und hier wird sie die Tür
Wrong house.
aufzumachen.
Never mind.
Fine. Good day.
Gut, was schon auffällig war, ist, dass sie sehr oft Katholik und die Heiligen und sowas angesprochen hat. Und wir haben ja noch das hier. Es wäre ein Versuch wert.
Alright. But this is private.
Bruder Neid.
Yes? Who is it?
Vater McLaughlin.
It's Father McLaughlin to see you.
Well, Father, you should be ashamed of yourself being so ill-groomed. I am sure the bishop would never approve. You can just go get a haircut before you come calling on me again. I know my duty, Father, but a priest seeking contributions should take pains to represent the church with respect.
Eieiei, ist die picky, ey, die ist ja echt schwierig. Okay, sie hat jetzt was gegen unsere Haare, na gut. Aber wir haben ja seit Tag 1 ein wenig Haargel.
The
Nutzen wir das
things
doch
I
mal.
do for my art.
So. Ich hoffe mal, dass sie jetzt nichts mehr auszusetzen hat. Mal schauen.
Yes? Who is it?
It's
Hallo.
Father McLaughlin to see you.
I see you've taken my advice, Father. I didn't mean to be harsh, but the church is the church.
Well, when you're right, you're right.
Exactly. Come in, Father. Please be seated, Father.
Thank you.
Now, what can I do for you?
Das weiß ich noch
Madame seems to like candles. Gabriel wonders if these two are specialties of Mr. Walker's shop. Madame's antiques are probably worth something. The painting behind the couch is a Madonna in child. The folding screen has a colorful pattern. It looks oriental. Madame's parlor is full of carefully dusted and polished relics of her past. The tea service has been polished recently. Madame uses it with her Creole sisters, perhaps? There's an old-fashioned jewelry box on the coffee table. Like all good hostesses, Madame has candy out for her guests. These appear to be several decades old.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions, my child?
Of course not, mon père.
So, dann fragen wir sie doch mal gescheit aus. Erstmal über Voodoo.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
People think I'm just a foolish old woman, but I know the things they do. My family's been in New Orleans since 1750, so I know more than most. Voodoo people are all over this city, in the shops, everywhere. They'll curse you like that, and most people don't even notice. Spit on your bread at the bakery. Take strands of your hair at the store when you try on the clothes. You have to be so careful. But I know their ways, so I can protect myself. I know how to use the magic too. and I can counteract their evil spells.
Aha, die scheint ja ein bisschen paranoid zu sein, die Beste.
Tell me more about voodoo in New Orleans.
It's just plain evil. It's dangerous to even discuss it.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Voodoo murders? Ha! They are nothing new to me, father. They happen all the time. I hardly go out anymore. It's too dangerous in the streets. They can get you anywhere, you know. Even here in this room. But I try not to let them know about me. That's the best way.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Shh. They'll hear you.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Shh.
Meine Güte, ist die paranoid.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
The only true New Orleanians are of French origin, you know. My family were among the original settlers of New Orleans. They came here from France. The Creole society used to be so gay in New Orleans. Now it barely hangs on by its fingernails.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
You know, I can stroll the streets of the French Quarter and see in my mind's eye the way it used to be. It was wonderful in the old days.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans isn't what it used to be, I can tell you. There's too few of the real people left.
Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes! They're evil creatures. Did you know that evil people can send them into your dreams? They can. That's why I never sleep.
Right, thanks.
Ach, deswegen ist sie so drauf, weil sie nicht schläft, ja? Johannes noch.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? Mais oui! I used to love the St. John's Eve Mass at Sandwick Cathedral. Of course, it is also a night of great wickedness, worse than All Hallows Eve. They will corrupt anything, Father.
They? They who?
Oh, you know.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I don't think I should say any more about that.
Na gut, Cabri
Do you have any idea what Cabri sans corps means?
Mais oui, I know. I bet you do not, Father, n'est-ce pas?
Doch, ich weiß, was es bedeutet, Ziege ohne Hörner.
It means goat without horns.
Oh, Father, you surprise me. You do know what it means. You know what they mean by goat without horns, don't you? A human being. That's right. Slit your throat, cut out your heart. Pure evil murder.
Ei.
That Cabri
So
sans corps thing.
Do not continue to tease me, Father. You know what it means as well as I.
Ah, das stimmt wohl. Marie Laveau.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
She was only a front for the real evildoers, Father. And that's the truth about Marie Laveau.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
She was only...
Kennen wir schon Tiermasken?
Do you know anything about animal masks?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Do you know
Veve?
anything about Veves?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Ah, das weiß ich ja nicht. So, schwarzes
Do you know
Voodoo.
anything about black voodoo?
Oh, yes, Father. It is the wickedest kind. The kind they practice here in New Orleans.
Tell me more about black voodoo.
I already told you. Black voodoo is what they practice here.
Ja, okay, aber das hilft ja nicht sehr.
Have you ever heard of a Schattenjäger?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Do you know
Menschenopfer.
anything about human sacrifice here in New Orleans?
Well, my great-grandmother could tell stories. She saw it. People say that sort of thing wasn't done in New Orleans. But the real voodoo queens did it. Oh, yes.
Can you tell me anything else about human sacrifice?
What is there to tell? They cut your heart out.
Tell me about yourself.
Me? I am Creole. My family has been in New Orleans for over 200 years. Real New Orleanians are French, you see. These days the city is overrun with people with no heritage at all. No offense, father, but it's true. But the French, naturellement, will always be the true blood of New Orleans.
Tell me about yourself.
Well, father, I don't know what else to say.
Na gut, dann über die echte
Who
Voodoo-Königin.
were the real voodoo queens?
Well, my great-grandmother told me that Lavaux was just a front, a flamboyant decoy. She distracted authorities from the real voodoo queen of New Orleans. It's been the same one for almost 200 years. She's head of a secret voodoo en fort. That's what they call their temples, you know. It's so secret, most of the voodoo people in the city don't even know about it. The real voodoo queen controlled Lavaux, gave her a little bit of power, and used her like a puppet.
Is there anything else you remember about the real voodoo queen?
Well, my great-grandmother said that the real voodoo queen was the most beautiful woman on earth. She had the most incredible copper-colored skin.
Is there anything else you remember about the real voodoo queen?
Well, they are all brides of Satan. Other than that, I can't think of anything.
Ah ja, Voodoo Horn.
Tell me more about this secret voodoo hound four.
Well, I've never seen it. I wouldn't go near it if you paid me. But it's here in Orleans, I guarantee it. I hear the drums at night, oh yes. That's why I am so ill. I tell you, those drums. But we shouldn't talk about it. They'll hear us. It's the devil's work that happens there. I can tell you. I'll show you something. Something secret. You mustn't tell anyone, father.
I swear on my collar.